The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question? And I listen more attentively. There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see. And I must have missed something when you were just talking to me. I must have not been paying attention when you were busy slamming the door. I guess the things that pass for affection ain't the same as they were before.
Alrighty, I guess.
Maybe?
If you can pull me up a little bit, that would be great.
Sure.
We forgot to do our off-air test.
There we go.
My voice is totally gone today. Everybody do the bopper pause. You in the red car, I didn't hear you.
Fail.
Epic failure. I didn't even hear Lisa Williams on that one.
Lisa.
Sipping my hardest lava.
It's driving me out of my mind.
I thought you weren't kidding.
I told you it was hot.
I think she said piping lava hot. is
I
what
said
she
it's like lava. Please be careful.
Did warn you.
I did. I swear. There's water there as well.
Alrighty, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Hi, how you doing? My name is Tom Duggan, I think. I don't even know anymore. I'm so tired. Here at the Paying Attention podcast. Hi, atop. Two Guys Smoke Shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. We have our annual, and it's supposed to be annual, but because of the COVID hysteria, we haven't had a bash in 3 years. So for the last 2 years, we didn't have a bash, and I was actually convinced last year we were going to be able to do it. But I was the only one that was adventurous enough to think that. Yeah. And I announced on the show that we were going to try and have a bash, and then I got a phone call from the venue saying, "You're not so fast." So this year we are having our 18th anniversary Valley Patriot Bash. It's Friday night this week. And I know a lot of people are just now starting to find out about it, weirdly enough. And I found out this morning why. It's because I'm shadow banned on Facebook. So all of my posts are down at the bottom of everybody's Facebook feed. Because I shared a meme about the gas prices being too high because of Joe Biden. And Facebook tagged it as misinformation because it's really Putin's fault. It's Putin. It's not him. It's not Biden. He didn't do anything wrong. He's the best. So, of course, because Facebook is in the tank for one political party, all of my posts are being pushed to the bottom of everybody's news feed. So, this morning I had 4 or 5 people who called me on the phone or texted me and said, "I had no idea your bash was coming up. I haven't been seeing your posts, but I just saw it this morning. How do I get tickets?" You can get tickets at the door, but they're $45 at the door. If you get them in advance, they're $40. Mm-hmm. We can still have somebody drive to your house or come to your work or meet you somewhere and get you tickets in advance if you'd like. We've got about 15 volunteers. They're all out today. They were up at 6 o'clock this morning while I was sleeping. I was just climbing into bed. And they were running around picking up raffle items, getting tickets into people's hands, picking up checks, doing some last-minute stuff. Picking up some of the baskets for the raffles. So we're going to go over some of that today, but I'm not going to spend the whole show on the bash because Friday we have a bash. Oh. And we have Lisa Williams from AFC Urgent Care here to talk about, she put something in front of me, but it's gone, to talk about something. So we'll get to her in a second. Before I get to the Bash update, very exciting Tuesday night. We piled about 50 people into City Hall from TMF. TMF is the movement family. It's a bunch of volunteer kids, and when I say kids, I mean late teens, early 20s. Some of them have no food at home themselves, and yet every Wednesday night they go out and they get donations for food and they help the homeless. And 4 years ago, the Lawrence mayor at the time, who I'm not going to savage because we're working with him on another project now, so we've kind of let bygones be bygones.
I'm so proud of you.
It's so hard.
I'm so proud of you.
It's so fucking hard.
The progress.
You have no idea.
Look at the progress you've made.
But the previous mayor in Lawrence threw TMF out of the bus station because, in his words, he didn't like the fact that we were doing it downtown where everybody could see it, and it made the city look bad. Well, we have a new sheriff in town. Lawrence Mayor Brian DePina. Promises made, promises kept. Brian DePina turned out to be the mayor we thought Neil Perry was going to be. And I'm just saying, look, he's just a different guy than we thought he was going to be. That's all. He's just a different. I'm not attacking him.
No attacking.
And I'm going to try very hard not to attack him with the Bash, although it's going to be very hard, but I'm going to. Only because he committed to coming, and he committed to doing a scholarship for his mom, and he did it on the air. And I said to him that day, there's going to come a day when you and I politically may not be getting along. You're still promising that you're going to come and do this, even if we're not politically getting along. And he pointed to me on the air and said, you have my word is my bond, and he's not doing it. So I'm going to try not to attack him tomorrow night, but I do have a couple of jokes about Neil because I'm kind of over it now. And
move on. Let's go.
So anyways, TMF at the bus stop.
Let's keep moving.
Right. TMF is going to go back to the Buckley Garage, and it's so important because in the last 4 years, TMF has continued to service the homeless on Wednesday nights and sometimes throughout the week. But we do it on an empty lot with no overhang. So when it snows or it rains, it snows and rains on the food. It snows and it rains on the paper plates. It makes it really difficult, especially given that these homeless people are walking a mile or so from wherever their tents are or wherever they're living to come to this Wednesday night dinner, and then they've got to walk through the rain or the snow to get back to where they're going. So when they get there, the one thing we don't want is for them to have to eat in the rain, eat in the snow. And so Brian DePina called me the day after he got elected. He called me to thank me for my support and said, I know TMF is very important to you. He said, I supported you staying at the bus station. I want you to come up to my office this afternoon. We're going to talk about a plan to put TMF back at the Buckley Garage so they have an overhang so the homeless people can eat and they're not getting rained on, they're not getting snowed on. So it took about 4 months to get this done. And the Lawrence City Council took up the measure on Tuesday, and the vote was 7-1 in favor of them going back temporarily because they can't give us permanent permit to be there. So it's going to be a temporary permit, and every so many months we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to get it renewed, which is fine. I do want to say this.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So this is like, it's at the bus station, right?
Yes. Pull that mic a little closer to you.
Is there any way the city can have some sort of designated area besides that?
Yeah, we're working on a whole bunch of other stuff. Yep. One of the things that is being worked on is possibly getting a building in the city.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm not attacking the previous mayor of Lawrence, because he's in charge of that funding.
Yep.
So we're working with him.
Well, that's really nice.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it's very positive.
Even though he's the one that threw them out of the bus stop, and he was kind of hostile toward us, now that he's got a new job, he's at least open to and interested in helping us get a building so that they're not outside.
Yeah. Building would be fabulous.
So by the way, the Bash, we consider the Bash, not to transition over, but we consider the Bash a night of amnesty. So it doesn't matter if you politically hate me, if you politically hate someone at the Valley Patriot, if you don't like me personally, a lot of people are willing to put their egos aside and come anyway to help us with scholarships, to help us to honor veterans, police officers, and firefighters. And in that vein, I'm certainly willing to work with Dan Rivera to help the homeless, even given our past. I'm perfectly willing to put that aside because to me, it's not about personalities. It doesn't matter who I like or who I don't like. It matters what we're getting done in the community. So if Dan Rivera even shows up tomorrow night, I'll give him a microphone and let him come and let him say whatever he wants to say because it's not personal. I've always liked Dan. In fact, I campaigned for him the 2 times that he ran. The TMF kids were very excited, but I do want to say one thing. There was a lot of people who were very unhappy with Mark LaPlante. And they were coming over to me. They were bad-mouthing Mark. Why is he against us? Why did he vote no? And I'm going to say this. Mark is a hero in the community. Mark does more for veterans in the city of Lawrence than anybody I've ever met in my life. He is an excellent city councilor. He cares an awful lot about the city. He just disagrees with TMF being at that location. He's not against TMF, and he's not against the homeless. And I've known Mark now for, God, at least 35 years. And I've never seen Mark do anything that he thought would be harmful to the community.
Maybe you just want a better location.
So I think we had a conversation the other day, and I think I understand what it is that his objection is and what he's looking for. And I'm certainly willing to work with him to accommodate.
Yeah.
Because it's really, to me, it's all about trying to get the services to the people who need it in a city like Lawrence, where almost the entire city council is Democrat, the mayor is a Democrat, all their state reps are Democrats, all their state senators are Democrats, both their U.S. senators are Democrats, and both their congressmen are Democrats. And every single one of these individuals comes into Lawrence at election time, campaigns that they care about the poor and the downtrodden. They get back in their car and go back to their community, and the best that we can get out of them is some kind of a $1,000 grant once in a while for Daybreak Homeless Shelter. It's not enough. And these TMF kids were looking at the homeless problem and saying, why are people having meetings about meetings? We're never going to solve the overall homeless problem. Everybody's having meetings about solving the overall problem. That's never going to happen. So they just decided, hey, why don't we just get some sandwiches and go feed them? Why don't we just go get some blankets and bring it to the homeless? Why don't we just feed them today? And I tried to beat that into the council when I spoke on Tuesday that, having meetings about solving the overall problem is never going to get anywhere. What we need to be doing is serving the immediate needs of people who need it right now. And TMF has done that, and I want to say to Mark LaPlante, he is going to be recognized in the room, and I hope everyone at TMF who watches this, and I know they all do, including the homeless, I know they all watch this podcast, please do not be mean to Mark LaPlante. He just has a different view. And we have to respect people who have different views than we do. And he's a good guy. And he will help TMF down the road doing other things. He just disagrees with the location. All right. So there's that. Now, let's get to our bash totals. We are giving out 7 scholarships to 8 students on Friday night. And you have the totals up. I'm going to pull the totals up so I can read them on my screen because I can't see that. Here's where we are, folks. Now, I don't know if you remember 4 weeks ago when we came in with our first tote board. That total was $8,900-something, if I remember correctly, Chrissy, right?
Yeah.
Here we are 5 weeks later. $32,145 for our scholarships. I'm shocked beyond shocked that we are where we are, especially given that we added a scholarship a week and a half ago. We added a special needs scholarship, and that special needs scholarship, after only a week, is now in second place for raising funds for Cassie Bonanno's scholarship. So here's what we've got. Lawrence High Junior ROTC scholarship going to Katarin Euclid, who was interviewed by Kane, our canine reporter. Went to Lawrence High School last week and interviewed her for his column in the next Valley Patriot. So that's going to be, and he's coming, by the way. Kane called and he said woof. Oh. And then he said he wanted to do the presentation and present Cassie with her scholarship award. So we're gonna let him do that. The Greater Lawrence Tech scholarship every year, by the way. This is something that was spearheaded by Lawrence City Councilor Jessica Finicaro, who has not spoken to me in 2 years, and I haven't spoken to her in 2 years. And yet, when we get ready to start the bash, I picked up the phone and called her. For the first time in 2 years, she took my call. She said, I know why you're calling. I'm in for the bash. When I give my word, I keep my word. I said, at least there's one person in Methuen that does that. Thank you, Jessica. Awesome. She said, what do you need from me? Hi, Jessica. She said, what do you need from me? What do you want me to do? I said, I need you to go. I want you to vet the kids at the high school that apply. I want you to pick the kid. And I want
That's so hard.
She did a lot, and believe she puts these kids through like a triathlon to get this. Oh yeah, she makes them write essays. Like
Does she really?
Some people get the award just because like we look through their resumes and we find someone that we really kind of like. Jessica makes them like run a triathlon, write essays. She calls all their.
Jessica's legit.
She is. She's so good at what she does. So I'm so happy that even though we weren't speaking politically because we were disagreeing on the Perry stuff. That Jessica picked up the phone right away, said, I'm in, whatever you need me to do. A few times I've called her back and said, can we change this? Can we change that? Tom, no problem. So thank you, Jessica, for being the person that other people pretend to be in Methuen politics.
Let it go.
Right?
I love you, but let it go.
No, but I'm just saying there's a lot of other people in politics who always say they're going to help, and then when it comes time to help, they're not there. Jessica is, and so we want to make sure that we thank her. Haverhill High School, the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship. This was started by my friend Ken DeLuca. His sister Michelle passed away a few years ago. We knew Michelle growing up. She hung around. In fact, she dated my friend Dave Abdu, whom I didn't know, but he was here last week, and he said that, and I was a little surprised. I didn't know that. Yeah. But she passed away, and he started this. Her brother Ken started this scholarship. He donated $1,000. He's also donated a few hundred since then, so he's given more than $1,000 for this scholarship. And this is going to go to Maxwell Bork from Haverhill High School. This is a kid who was picked by Scott Wood of the Haverhill School Committee.
I know Scott.
So I called. You know Scott? He's a good kid.
Yeah, I grew up with him.
Did you really?
Yeah, great.
So I've known him since the first time he ran, maybe about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I called him the year that he was running. He was like 12. He was like 13. I think literally he was like 18 years old when he ran, I think.
Really?
And I called him and I said, I ran when I was 18, and I admire what you're doing. Let me help you with your campaign. Let me give you some advice, whatever I can do to help you. He's been a friend ever since, and every year I call him and say, can you find me a kid from Haverhill High School, and can you find me a kid from Whittier? These are the requirements. Now, for the Haverhill Scholarship, the kid has to be going into public safety or into drug interdiction, because that's what Michelle was doing when she passed away. Oh. She was helping with drug interdiction and doing that kind of stuff. So he found us a kid named Max Bork, and surprise, surprise, I've got the Boxford police chief, Jim Ryder, is in my office one afternoon, and while he's there, Scott sends me Max's picture and his name and said, this is the kid that we picked. And I posted it online, and Jim Ryder, who's sitting across from me, looks at his phone and went, Maxwell Bork, how did you pick him? I said, Scott Wood just picked him. I just posted it 5 minutes ago. He goes, that's my girlfriend's kid.
Oh, you're kidding.
I was like, get the hell out of here. So anybody in the room who goes, oh, that kid got a scholarship because Tom knows his dad, I didn't even pick the kid. Scott Wood picked the kid. And he also picked the Whittier High School kid, and I call them kids, they're young adults. So by the way, the Haverhill High Scholarship's at $4,200. The Whittier Scholarship, this is our lowest one, $3,575. We'd like people who have gone to the Vogue, whose kids have gone to the Vogue, please kick in something, even if it's $10. It would break my heart to walk into the room Friday night and not give at least $4,000 to this student. She really deserves it. And by the way, all these kids' bios are on the Valley Patriot website if you go to valleypatriot.com. The Methuen High Studio 21 Podcast Cafe started because we announced 5 weeks ago that we're going to do the Bash. And Dave Garofalo, the owner of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, where we're broadcasting from, also owner of Two Guys Smoke Shop, came to me after the show, handed me a check for $2,100 and said, I want to start a new scholarship for a kid going into communications. So I called my spirit animal, Janet DeNatale, whom I love to death. And I told her what happened, and I said, the only thing we don't have on our program is a kid from Methuen High School. So if we can find a kid from Methuen High School that's going into communications, I'd love that kid to get this scholarship. So now we've got Haverhill, Groveland, Lawrence, Methuen, Andover, and North Andover all being represented by these scholarships.
The entire Merrimack Valley.
And that makes me thrilled beyond belief. So the Whittier Scholarship kid, Grace Parsons, is a really nice kid, and she's her scholarship is at $3,575. We want to get that up to at least $4,000.
This is so much money. I'm so impressed because I'm a mother who this year had 4 kids in college.
Ooh.
Right?
That's 2 mortgages right there.
I have 2 graduating this year. Thank God. But
hopefully they're not taking anything like useless, like gender studies or anything like that. Hopefully they're taking something they can actually get a job doing when they get out.
But I have one furthering her education. I'm like, you don't need to. Just get a job. I just need you to get a job.
Right?
Right.
So, by the way, before we go any further, the Greater Lawrence Tech Scholarship, it's 2 twins are going to be getting that scholarship, the 4570. It was number 2 up on the list. Both of those kids are going into, one's going into dental assistant and one's going into be a medical assistant. And that's the scholarship that Lisa Williams and AFC Urgent Care donated $1,000 to. So I want to thank you for doing that. And here's what I was thinking. You don't have to say yes on the air. Just think about it.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is we're going to have you get up and do the presentation to the Vogue kids.
Yep.
And if you're interested, maybe offer them a internship when they get like they need work study credit to finish their degree.
Love to.
And that way we can keep these kids in the Valley Patriot family, and maybe next year we can have them come and present this scholarship to the next kid.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I would love to do that. Yes.
So let's pull those totals back up if you don't mind.
So excited about this.
Listen, we have so much going on that people are going to.
So
it's going to take
excited.
people a week to process what we've done after we're done this bash, and this is why we do the bash. We do it all in one night. So now we're at the Methuen High Studio 21 Podcast Cafe Scholarship, $3,775. The Dan Cody Memorial Scholarship. Remind me to go back to Haverhill when I'm done.
Yeah.
The Dan Cody Memorial Scholarship was started by a friend of mine, Al Valo. He wasn't a friend at the beginning. He was this guy that just showed up at my office one day 4 years ago, and he said, I don't know if you know me. We kind of know each other on Facebook, but Dan Cody passed away last week, and I know your bash is Friday. I know you don't have a lot of time, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you $1,000, and I'd like you to pick a kid that graduated from the Thompson School in North Andover.
Thompson School.
Yep. Where my kids went.
My kids
right? My
did
kids went
too.
there. And he said, and I want that because in 4 years, Dan Cody's oldest son, who goes to Thompson now, will be graduating high school.
Shut up.
And I'm hoping that we can keep this scholarship going every year so that when Dan's kids graduate, we'll have some money to give to him for college in his dad's name. This year, that's going to happen. Patrick Cody is going to get the Dan Cody Memorial Scholarship, and if you look at those numbers, that's why the number is $7,760. Because when we announced that this is going to go to Dan's son, we got donations from Sheehan's Towing, Martineau's Towing, Trombley Towing, all the towing companies that felt that when Dan was killed, because it could have been any one of them.
Oh yeah.
He was hit by a drunk driver on 495.
Tragic.
They all kicked in. Valley Towing on Merrimack Street, they all kicked in something for this scholarship, as well as friends and family of the student, as well as people who didn't even know Dan but were affected by the tragedy. So that's at $7,760. I think, I'm positive, I know I don't have to look this up, I'm pretty positive that's the most we've ever given for a scholarship ever in the 18 years we've been doing this. And then we have the Special Needs Scholarship, which is going to Cassie Bonanno. And I'm going to tell you this because I know that Karen Glendye is working today and she's not watching this. So there's a guy named Phil Glendye. He was a teacher at Lawrence High School. He brought the Special Olympics to Lawrence High School about 15 years ago. And every year after that, he coordinated doing the Special Olympics at the Veterans Memorial Stadium in Lawrence for all the special needs kids, people, adults in the Merrimack Valley.
You're kidding.
And he would call me. One of the few people who would call me to tell me something's going on so I can go cover it. Usually people say afterwards, hey, how come you didn't come to my event? And I go, well, you didn't tell me. Like, call me and let me know next time. Phil would call me every year and say, next week on whatever day, we're going to do the Special Olympics. And we would go down and film it. We'd go live on Facebook. We'd take pictures. We'd put it in the paper. Well, Phil passed away. And so I was thinking when we started this Special Needs Scholarship that what we should be doing, we're going to announce it in the room that night, that this Special Needs Scholarship is going to be named the Phil Glendine Special Needs Scholarship from now on. And his sister Karen is coming. She doesn't know this. His sister Karen comes because she comes every year because she's a member of the Lawrence High alumni and she loves us. We're going to have her get up and present the check to the kid, to the special needs kid getting the scholarship, and we're going to announce in the room that we're going to name this for Phil Glendine. We're going to have a nice little special thing in the paper for her, for him in the next Valley Patriot. Now, I do want to go back to one thing before we get to Lisa. So let's go back to the Haverhill High Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship. We had a guest here on the show about a year and a half ago, Jerry Flynn. He's the president of the New England Police Benevolent Association. He's probably the most powerful police union president in the country. And I'm going to take the word probably out. He is the most powerful police union president in the country. There is nothing that guy can't get for his people. And I've worked with him over the years on a number of things, especially scholarships for police officers, kids who have been killed in the line of duty. And he called me a week ago, and we were lamenting about the fact that we lost Dan Strange. Dan Strange used to come to this bash every year, former law enforcement, one of the nicest guys in the world, and he is a guy that would always show up in the room at the bash and hand me a check for $1,000 or $2,000 and say, give it to the kid that you think deserves it the most. He also helped us book guests. He also helped us get some hero police officers for the Officer Tom Duggan Award, and he passed away. So in his name, the New England Police Benevolent Association, thanks to Jerry Flynn, donated the first ever Dan Strange Scholarship, and added that into the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship because our Haverhill High School kid is going to be a police officer. He's going into criminal justice. So Maxwell Bork from Haverhill High School is going to get the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship, and we added that into the number, so it's not an additional 1,000. It's 1,000. That number's included up there on the tote board. He's going to get the Michelle DeLuca Benedetti Scholarship, and he's also going to get the Dan Scrange Memorial Scholarship from the New England Police Benevolent Association. And when you add all of that up, it comes to $32,145. And I think that's pretty amazing. And what I don't want is people saying, wow, Tom, you're a really good guy for doing that. Because I haven't donated $1 yet. All right? I will donate something in the room. We may take money from the 50-50. We may take door money, but I will donate something in the room. But if you add all of this up, this $32,145, not $1 of that came from me. So please don't thank me. I'm only the guy that organizes this. I'm the one that calls elected officials and threatens to write mean things about them if they don't give money to our scholarship kids.
No, you don't.
No, I don't do that. Although there was one that I had to. I don't want to say which relative of someone on stage that might have been. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Relax.
Swear to God.
But I'm only the guy that calls people and says, hey, this is what we're doing. Would you like to give? I'm the guy that posts it on Facebook. But it's you guys. It's the people who watch this show, the people who follow me on Facebook, the people who read the Valley Patriot, who have kicked the money in. And some people have made a $10 donation and then wrote me a one-page email saying that they're sorry that they couldn't give more, and then telling me their personal circumstances as to why they couldn't give more. Those checks mean just as much to me as the $1,000 that we're getting from people like Lisa. I don't want to minimize anybody's donation. Every drop in the bucket, every penny that gets donated is very much appreciated, and it's because of you guys, not because of me. Again, I'm the spoke in the middle of the wheel who's pulling people together that don't know each other to make this happen. But the real thanks goes to the people who have stepped up to the plate, like Mike Gagliardi from the Laborers Union Local 175 gave us another $1,000 this year. Every single year he gives us at least $1,000. Lisa Williams here gave us $1,000. Every single year she gives us at least $1,000. Ronnie Marsan, former city councilor in the city of Methuen, gave us $1,000 for our vocational kids. So it's all of these people who are coming together. They're going to be in the room that night. They're giving money. And you have people like John at Butter Bing's, who called this morning and said, hey, I've got a gift certificate for your raffle. We're going to give some free pizza coupons or something for your raffle.
They are very generous.
And they are very generous. And so, even if you didn't contribute monetarily, if you gave a gift card for the raffle, if you donated, Steve Bucco from Bucco Liquors, North Andover Wine and Spirits, give us 6 bottles of vintage French wine. And those are pretty expensive. So we may not even raffle those. We might auction those depending on, we have to look up how much they're actually worth so we can figure out what to do with those. Everybody who contributed, everybody who nominated an award recipient, everybody who nominated a kid to get a scholarship are all going to be in one room, some of whom don't like each other, some of whom don't like me. I'll tell you right now, there's 2 people that I'm going to be honoring in the room that night who the day after the bash won't say hi to me if I run into them at Dunkin' Donuts. We don't get along.
Really?
We don't get along. We have different political views. We have different views on life. We've got personal history. But we're all putting our egos aside, and we're all putting our differences aside to say this is a night of amnesty. We're all trying, every single person who's involved in this event, including my bash committee, Maria Fiato, Brenda Rossi, Nancy Gorman, Rich Russell, everybody who's involved with this is putting their personal feelings aside because there's somebody on the program they don't like, there's somebody who's involved that they may not get along with, and everybody's working together. This is exactly why we do the bash, to say...
Because we can't have another Chris Rock incident.
Well, right.
Right.
And what's going on in the rest of the country is people,
So bad.
family members not talking to each other because one family member hated Trump and one family member loved Trump. Family members not talking to each other because one person's for abortion and the other person's against abortion. Lifelong friends who no longer speak to each other because one person thinks that masks should have been mandated and one person doesn't. And what we're trying to do at the local level is show that national narrative is bullshit. That yes, that does go on and it has been going on, but it needs to stop and it's not going on here. And here in the Merrimack Valley, we want to be the example for the rest of the country as to how to get shit done. How to get services to people who need them, who are homeless, who are addicted. How to help kids who need money for college get that money and get to college. How to help hero police officers and firefighters who have not been recognized for their heroic deeds because they don't fit with the political culture, and get them into a room and give them an award and make sure that they know and their family knows we appreciate their sacrifice. That's what this bash is all about. And I have never been more proud. We've been doing this 18 years. I've never been more proud than I've been this week to watch these numbers come from people like, again, there's a couple of politicians that we've almost come to blows, like physically, who have called me on the phone and said we can go back to hating each other later on, but I want to buy a table. And so because they're coming, I'm going to give them a microphone and I'm going to let them come up and say a few words if they want. Because we need to show these kids that are getting these scholarships, that are going into college, not to listen to their professors, not to listen to the naysayers and the haters. That you can politically disagree, you can even personally disagree, you can even personally dislike each other and still work together to do something good. And,
I love the message. I love it.
And that's what this is all about. So if you walk away from Friday night with nothing else except for that, I consider it a win. Sitting with me is Lisa Williams. She is from AFC Urgent Care. She's been a sponsor for a long time and a friend for even longer. You wanted to come, you wanted to talk about, you have this idea as to how we can help some of the new immigrants coming to the Merrimack Valley and how to help them get health services. Yes. And you came up with this idea about maybe like a health fair. Can you talk a little about like what your idea is? We'll kick it around and see if we can make it happen.
Well, when we first opened 2012, 2013, 2014, we actually did immigration physicals.
Oh, great.
People, yeah.
Just pull the mic a little closer because we're not hearing you. Thank you for the coffee, by the way, Chrissy. This was really helping. I'm literally on 3 hours.
It is lava hot.
I'm literally on 3 hours sleep the last 2 days. So
we stopped doing them, and we, for a while, people weren't able to make that happen. So we actually
mostly because of the COVID hysteria, right?
Yeah, a lot of COVID hysteria. So we just started back up doing them again. I think last month we did like 60 throughout like all 4 of our locations.
And how does this work now? Do you reach out to them? Do they come to you?
Basically, they just call the center. They book the appointment. It's just basically a lot of titers, a lot of blood draws, and then the physician just performs a physical. Mm-hmm. But, with everything that we do in the community, if there's anybody of need, we can definitely help them out with that because they are expensive mm-hmm. because of just all the vaccines that are needed. But, mm-hmm. We're definitely willing to help out people that, that can be a challenge for.
Right. Well, I mean, people who are just coming here, hopefully legally, mm-hmm. but people who are coming here, however they got here, they're here. Yeah. They may have health needs. Yeah. And maybe because of their immigration status, they might be afraid to go to the hospital. Maybe they can come to AFC Urgent Care. They don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. We can definitely help out. There's services there that we can help them out with. So tell them, my information is there. Tell them to give me a call.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Good night. Thanks. How did you I didn't ask you this the last time you were here, and I was thinking about it on the way home. How did you get the idea to start an urgent care? Like, of all the businesses that I would think in my head that I might want to start, that would not probably be on my list. What made you think about, were you in the health field before this?
So my husband was actually a benefits consultant, and I've always worked I was a teacher, but I was working in healthcare, and his friend actually opened up an AFC Urgent Care in Springfield, and North Andover was a really good location, and it is, instead of going to the emergency room, it is a fraction of the cost to go to.
And a fraction of the time.
Literally fraction of the cost, fraction of the time.
I've been to AFC twice for an emergency. One was because I had an abscessed tooth. Yeah. Now, I know you don't have a dentist on staff. No. And I knew that going in.
You cannot prescribe narcotics
either. However, I did go in, and they did give me a prescription for something that would kill the pain. I know it wasn't a narcotic, but it worked. That's all I cared about. Because it was a Sunday, and it was the Sunday of a 4-day weekend. So I wasn't going to be able to see a dentist for at least 48 hours. Right. And I was in so much pain, I couldn't even think. Like, when you get that, when that pain just hits. And I thought, oh, my God, I can't go to the hospital and wait 5 hours to be seen. I need pain medication, like, now. Right. Went to AFC, walked in. I just walked in North Andover. There were 2 people waiting. In under 10 minutes, I was seeing a doctor. And 10 minutes after that, I was at CVS getting my prescription. I think it was like prescription strength ibuprofen or something, whatever he gave me. And in under an hour, I had no pain, and I could actually function for the day. And the second time that I went into the Methuen office, and I had a problem. I had an embarrassing problem. And I went in and said, I have kind of an embarrassing problem. And she said, Don't worry about it. You're all set. And in under 15 minutes, I was in, I was out, and my problem was solved.
Yeah.
Now, you go to Holy Family, Lawrence General, Whittier, any other hospital, and you're waiting at least an hour or more, and just not to have the wait was enough for me.
Yeah. And it is again a fraction of the. I had to go to the ER, and I don't even want to tell you what my bill was. it was thousands.
Yeah.
It was thousands.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have high deductibles, and sometimes you have to pay. You do have a bill for that, and it is generally a fraction of that.
Right.
So we have X-ray there. Now we can do just about, now that COVID is over. No, I shouldn't say that. Now that the numbers are significantly declined.
We're calling the bash on Friday the official start of the return to normal. Yeah. Because there is no new normal
anymore.
No,
there isn't. Because there is a new variant, and there will always be another variant, and it will always,
but every variant's going to be weaker than the original, right? Because it's a spin-off. So it waters itself down as each variant goes, and eventually it'll just be like the flu. And
but now we see more sick patients. We cover for a lot of physicians, and so if they can't handle the patients that they have, they come to us. And now we're actually, which my providers are psyched because they're actually seeing, they're doing lacerations. We have X-rays, cough, cold, flu, back to what it was before. And that's what people actually went to school for, not just strictly, COVID patients.
Right.
But the overlapping symptoms of so many things is actually COVID. So, the protocol will be, to give you some sort of like rapid, COVID test when you walk in, if it is an.
I'm still thrilled that AFC managed to not go out of business during COVID, because a lot of businesses, including a lot of urgent cares, were going out of business because they couldn't handle the volume, and they also couldn't get their hands on the vaccines or the stuff that they needed.
A lot of it was staffing.
Yeah, but you survived, as we survived.
We survived.
Yeah.
I did take on a partner, and he has Swampscott and Beverly, which is great because a lot of it is you needed supplies, supplies and staffing. And
I've talked to Zaka on the phone a few times.
He's lovely.
He seems like a really good guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Now, I don't know what his sense of humor is because I've got kind of a bizarre sense of humor.
So
hopefully he's coming to the bash. Hopefully he's going to laugh.
Yeah.
He's going to laugh when I.
Yeah, he's. But his Beverly location was one of the top locations in the nation. Demographics and also just need. Like people around here. There's a lot of different choices that people have, but. He ran an amazing operation.
And if someone comes to AFC Urgent Care and they've got something that is beyond what you can treat, something serious, like somebody, they don't realize that they've had a heart attack, but they have problems, they go to you.
It happens all the time.
You guys call an ambulance right away. I was listening to the scanner one day and I heard them say, please go to AFC Urgent Care. We're transporting one person to the hospital. And I thought, wow, they even do that. Like, they don't say, okay, you have to go to the hospital.
No,
you guys call an ambulance and you get them to the hospital.
Oh, yeah. Like, as soon as, there's, treatment protocol. So if you walk in and you have, you walk in and it says, I have chest pain. Well, that is like okay, we're going to bring you back here. The doctor will do a quick assessment as we, dial 911 for the ambulance.
Now, I know your husband is coming.
Yes. He's very excited.
Can we ditch him for the after party, though? I want you to be my date at the after party. At least the first after party. The second after party, all bets are off.
Wow.
No?
It's aggressive.
No?
That's aggressive.
Tom told me I had to ask you first, so that's why I asked. No, I'm just kidding. Lisa Williams from AFC Urgent Care, I always love having you here. I have
to say that I actually agreed with 35% of what you said today.
And that's a record, ladies and gentlemen. That's a record.
It's usually 5.
That's a record.
30 minutes was talking about.
You know what?
bash
Just
numbers,
for you, because you asked me off the air, just for you, I'm not going to say anything about them doing mayor at the bash.
Really?
How's that? Just for you.
Oh, thank you.
And it's only because I love you and Tom and Zaka and everybody at AFC. And you know what? And I don't
think... It makes me feel uncomfortable. I get anxious.
No, I get it. I get it. And you know what? And I don't thank you guys enough for sponsoring this show and keeping your ads running in the Valley Patriot, because having people that I know are going to be continued advertisers every month helps us to be able to plan our bills for the upcoming month or two. And so having that continued revenue and having you have faith in us to get you customers, It's very, very much appreciated by me, by my editors, and by my business partner, Santiago.
Yeah, we do. I believe in what you do. I'm asked to sponsor a lot of things. We love to give back to the community, but one thing I love the most is that I know that if I'm going to give you something for a donation, you're going to give it directly to a kid.
Right. No overhead. We don't take anything off the top.
But sometimes, if I'm going to give money to whatever it is, and they tell me it's going to go to a kid, it doesn't always go directly to the child.
Well, look at all these Ukraine, these nonprofits that are on TV now every day saying, please give to us, we're helping Ukraine. Most of that money doesn't go to Ukraine. And by the way, if you give to the National Red Cross, I'm sorry, I didn't realize time's up. And by the way, if you give to the Red Cross for the Ukraine, that money doesn't go to Ukraine. There's no segregated Ukraine fund. Whenever there's a disaster like a hurricane or an earthquake, and people say, give to the Red Cross for earthquake relief, they don't have a special fund, like a special account for that earthquake relief. They put all of that money into their general fund. And some of that money, a lot of that money, does not go where it's supposed to go. So I always say, if you're going to give to something, give local.
Right.
If you want to give to Ukraine, call the local Ukrainian consulate. Ask them if they know a family that's in Ukraine. Find out where they are and send them the money directly.
Right.
Don't ever give to a nonprofit or a fund for something big like that. And always give locally if you can. All right, Chrissy is going to kill me because I'm over time. You can wrap up Melvin and Taylor. We'll thank our sponsors, which I forgot to do at the beginning. AFC Urgent Care, we love you, Lisa. We really do. Even if you stopped advertising with me tomorrow, I'd still love you forever for all the things you do for the community. You're such a great person, and your husband and Zaka. You guys are such great people. Want to thank our sponsors, McLennan Real Estate, Century 21. Matt McLennan donated to the scholarships. Thank you, Matt. AFC Urgent Care, $1,000 donation to our Great Alliance Vogue. Ronnie Marchand, $1,000. Marchand and Son Construction, $1,000 donation. EIS Investigation, $2,000 in donations to the Valley Patriot. Borelli's Deli, Tomo, and Shaken Seafood. Now, Happy Crab is now Shaken Seafood. A free shout-out to Clear Path for Veterans New England, who will get half of our raffle money. A free shout-out to Sullivan Insurance. And, of course, Lazy River Products. I hope they bring some of their products to the bash because I'm going to need some of that. The Lazy River Products in Drayton is cannabis. I won't be doing that. I won't be able to read the script.
You won't be able to read anything.
Melvin Taylor will not be joining us tomorrow night, but he will be with us in spirit. And he does say that you got to go home. So go home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.